call your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it in this week. Now, as usual, give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Ooh, yeah. Let's get to it! Story number 1. Local robotics showing promising signs. A report out of Champion by Ed Runyon of The Vindicator says that parents are pleased with robotics programs. The report is filled with promising news when it comes to the development and skills learned by robotics students. I believe they call it STEM. The story is still developing. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Nobody knows the fullest potential that robotics can do. Big help. Story number 2. Boardman teachers get grants. 26 teachers in Boardman received mini grants that covered all grades. Now, what got the story in is the fact that the mini grants totaled out to be $26,000 with a cap of $2,500 per grant. Now, one article by J.T. Whitehouse of The Vindicator focuses on the numbers given out and could provide a formula for other teachers in the district who could be looking for some extra funding. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. Another lawsuit in Youngstown. Carrier Services Group is seeking more than $500,000 in damages from Youngstown, according to the Mahoning County Common Pleas Court judge. The lawsuit includes some key players in Youngstown, including the mayor. Now 20 Federal Street has remained in top headlines due to the eviction of its tenants that happened some time back and some stalled construction plans. Folks, this story is still developing. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. Suicides on the rise locally. That's not good. It appears that Mahoning County experienced 53 deaths by suicide in 2023. These most recent numbers have suicide prevention experts sounding the alarm locally. Now, one piece by Sheen Barron of The Vindicator says that Mahoning County suicides rose each year from 2020 to 2023 due to the COVID-19 meltdown. That means all the stuff that's been going on, so people have been getting overwhelmed. Now they're saying that they want to improve the lives of those who feel isolated because they feel like that's the reason for all this craziness, especially when it comes to suicide, folks. That's what got this story in, because people need to be, the people who feel isolated are the ones that we need to show some love to. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Big help. Story number 5. Sales tax revenue and property values are up. Ed Runyon has an article out of The Vindicator about some important data released by City Auditor Ralph Meacham when it comes to, he released some information about when it comes to the local sales tax and property taxes. Now, all of the new information that he released can be viewed on the auditor's website. Now, according to the report, there was a steady flow of growth of sales tax revenue from 2019 through 2023. Now, the report goes on to show growth in the general fund as well. Now, the report is filled with eye-popping data showing increases in property values as high as 38%. Folks, this story is still developing. That's why story number 5 made it this week. Story number 6. Another safety alert. Safety awareness remains in the headlines after a Hubbard factory worker lost his life during a routine operation. Now, the details of the entire incident are horrific, thus keeping safety concerns in top headlines in these hard times. Local safety has remained in major headlines consistently as we begin 2024 and more bad news starts to come in. That's why story number 6, still can't mess it up. Story number 6 made it this week. We cannot take our eyes off of the ball. Big help. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Ooh-wee. A graduate, a student, a teacher, a director, a friend, the mediator, somebody that you can depend on Sunday morning. Story number 7, or any other day on the web. Story number 7, performing performance audit at Youngstown City School. I am a product of Youngstown City Schools. Projected budget deficits are not good for any school district, and according to Auditor Keith Faber's office, the district is projected to see a negative general fund balance beginning in 2027. Now, one report by Mason Cole of the Vindicator published January 18th says that the district is expected to experience an annual operating deficit for the next 5 fiscal years, projected to start at $4.2 million in 2024 and grow to a $16.9 million deficit by fiscal year 2028. Folks, this is after voters approved a 4-year $9.51 million renewal levy. Now, residents are already feeling the burn as some took to the airwaves of 570 WKBN airwaves, stating that they are already seeing increases on their property taxes. That's radio airwaves. Now, the report has some very vital information for city residents on the plans moving forward by the district, and it's definitely worth a read, folks. This story is still developing. Big headline, story number 7. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week. Folks, I'm doing this. I'm being kind, gentle. My spirit is high. I chose to come back locally to give you these top 8s. Show me some love. I'm here for you as a blessing to bless you with the top 8. Story number 8, FBI probe. Hands up. A search warrant was served at the Quick Med Urgent Care at 3499 Belmont Avenue. That's 3499 Belmont Avenue, and the FBI made an appearance at Youngstown City School District offices, according to a Vindicator report published January 18th. Folks, this is scary. Now, contracts and COVID-19 mismanagement are suspected for the presence of the FBI. Folks, this story is still developing, and it's not good when the FBI shows up and trying to figure out what happened with the COVID money, or what happened with the COVID mismanagement, what happened in the COVID deal. Whew. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere in this episode of The Mediator, Unsolved Mysteries. I'll be right back. You're The Mediator, me, Brian West.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
What does Method8inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Aunt Tasha, she said that you can be done and still make a lot of money.
Don't be deceived, okay? Just get the work done. Get your work done, graduate, you'll be successful. Don't be deceived. I told you that. Now hit the books.
Mom's not coming back, is she, Dad?
What test scores again?
Every teacher is in here day and night, and it's not our fault.
Uriah aced her random proficiency test because you helped her. She's the first student in the city's district to ace that test.
So did he pay?
No, who only paid that?
Apply the pressure.
Hey, get that mess out of here!
Titi, you picked this district, Titi. I'm going to Puerto Rico. Me voy a Puerto Rico, Titi. Cálmate. Calm down. ¿Cómo que me calme? How am I calm down? You had us come here, Titi. How can I protect myself? That's all I need for you to help me with. How do I protect myself? Oh, they're not gonna hurt you.
If this is what I get for being a good student and acing a test, I'd rather have failed.
I never told you that being good would be easy.
Clear target, cannot miss.
Home for his little girl. Take me.
They're in danger.
I won't tell you how this is gonna end, Lauren, but my history professor once told me, in order to prevent a genocide, you first have to kill the dictator.
Welcome back, welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week, folks. We are talking guns this week because America continues to have a problem with guns, youth violence. They're killing each other, and that's pretty sad. And me being an activist, I've probably worked with young adults, young kids for years, and I'll never forget some of the situations I found myself in. Especially when I was growing up, you know, being wood shop class, tapping on wood and sawing it up, joking around. Big ugly, you so ugly. Boy, you so ugly that you're too ugly. You know, the next thing you know, your cousin come in with a sawed off 357 Magnum. Everybody get on the floor. Oh, hell no. What you doing? John, put it away. Your whole future's ahead of you. Looking at him, why you got this gun? Never find out. Come to find out, the person that brung the gun to school was being bullied, and they found that weapon, and they knew that weapon could solve their problems. Whew. And that's what you see nowadays, folks. People know that gun is going to silence the lambs, silence the devil, but it creates a lot of confusion because some of these kids use the guns, some of them have loaded weapons, and it's become a problem because don't nobody know how these kids are finding the guns or what's causing them to use them, but they will find a weapon. This has been going on since I was a young lad, folks. Folks all over them. I never forget that damn wood shop when that happened. Everybody, oh. Cops showing up, people getting arrested, family members, everybody. Chronicles of Mediation continue, folks. What are we going to do with children and the weapons? Let's waste some time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Chicago learns something in its most recent winter storm. A Fox Business report says that the electric vehicle charging stations felt the burn after some Tesla's charging stations, they were lined up with dead cars and freezing cold. And I guess this has a lot of people having second thoughts about the electric vehicle market. People said their cars, they waited for 3 hours and their cars still did not charge in the cold. Now, one report said that a man waited, like I said, for 3 hours. He did this for 2 days and got nothing. Folks, the story is still developing, but it could put a huge dent in the electric vehicle push. And speaking of how ironic it is, when I was in the studio getting ready to report on this story, I saw a Tesla riding down the street. 20-degree weather, so it must not be that bad, but we'll see how this develops. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. The IMF report, International Monetary Fund. CNBC has a report by Jenny Reed about, I guess, how the International Monetary Fund estimates that the U.S. economy has already seen about 75% of the transmission from monetary policy. Now, the report goes on to say that the U.S. economy has maintained stronger growth than was widely expected in the aftermath of interest rate hikes in 2022. So, in this report, what you see is a lot of things happening that a lot of people didn't expect, a lot of people didn't predict. But the report goes on to say that the U.S. economy has seen some growth. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. Why are wealthy and needed companies, especially corporations, laying people off? According to the Google CEO faces intense criticism after more layoffs. Now, the company laid off around 1,000 people, but according to the report, there were more people that were laid off, but Google wouldn't tell. Now, last January, the company laid off 12,000 employees. That's a lot of people. Another frustration on what is causing the layoffs, which have remained consistent, is what got the story in. Could it be AI, artificial intelligence? Nobody knows. That was the story number 3 made in this week. You imagine coming into work, just find out you're laid off, getting fired. Pretty sad. Big headline. Story number 4. Intergalactic laying off. Intergalactic. Another dimension. Now, you are fired. Now go. Big headlines. Story number 4. Why are financial gurus sounding the alarm? You gotta go. Oh, you get off the no. Get off the floor. Go home. You're fired. How sad is that? That's sad. It's not funny. It's never funny when you get fired. Suze Orman is yet another financial guru sounding the financial alarm. According to MoneyWise, she says Americans have no one to rely on, and she is stating that climbing costs and growing debt is to blame. $1 trillion in American credit card debt for the first time ever still has this story trending. It could be why people get laid off. Could be why people getting fired. Maybe corporations don't have nowhere to turn to for the money. Nobody knows. Either way, it's intergalactic planetary AI is taking over everything in another dimension. People on drugs, people smoking, vaping, big headlines. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4, so don't you go anywhere. You're on the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back. I'm going to schedule you back in about a week, alright? Put you on 10 milligrams. If you need any refills, you got to let me know, alright?
I didn't become a doctor to drug people.
Give up on your dream, John. You cannot cure crazy.
Well, he's one of my patients.
No, patience! Well, tell him to stop coming here and robbing me!
Are you married? I see your ring. Yeah.
But all I know is I need you and you will need me.
Why don't you have your wedding photos up?
Well, I have my reasons for that.
No! You don't know anything about my patients, Kathy! You don't know anything about what these kids, these parents are going through. There's a jungle out here, Kathy! So stay in your lane!
I don't have a chemical imbalance. I just want to go home.
Together, we can make magic.
Please don't leave me this way!
I'm gonna eat therapy after this! Who gonna check and see if I'm okay?
Hey, Doc. Don't let me down. Because those meds, they're working.
Assigned to guard the 4 corners of Escobar, were you not given the duties to rule with an iron fist?
I'm not strong enough anymore.
Who is the leader of the governing board?
Luna, sir. She has been appointed to take the place of her father.
Escobar's governing board is in danger. Our land is producing enough crops to survive.
I can't feed Escobar with dying crops. Magic lady, Nikki, what the hell are you talking about?
She comes at nights and visits me in my sleep.
Rush! I know your story. You can't hurt her anymore. She's coming to you for a reason.
What do you know about my son?
Does this drawing look familiar to you?
That jewel is glowing again, which means something's about to go down.
They want to hunt Escobar over to you. I don't think it would be wise for Luna to put herself in danger at this pivotal time.
Do you doubt me?
If we unite now, we'll save our planet and our people.
You have to defend Escobar.
If she's worthy, they won't kill her.
This gonna be fun. I ain't used him in a minute.
I'm with Luna.
Defend us, Luna. You have my blessing.
And that'll be our ticket to the North Star.
I'll be a new Escobar.
They say your thing ain't changed, I'm saying no way. I'm trying to tell them changing bills, spend this.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week, folks. It's probably cold. It's real cold up here up north in Ohio. So cold that everybody's Martin Luther King Day just passed, and I don't know why they put that holiday in the winter time, because I wanted to go barbecue, and I went outside. I said, no, it's so cold outside. I got into it with a homeless man. Me and him was out in the street rolling around, and he was actually thanking me. He said, brother, thank you. Keep fighting with me. You're keeping me warm. So I hugged him and gave him some of these pocket heaters I had in my pocket. I said, come on. And I gave him my coat. And I got in my car and rode off. Came back the next day. He was snuggled up with a dog. He had found a scientific equation for staying warm, and I couldn't believe it. Homeless people, folks. And I found a homeless man. He was singing. We got out, we was singing some songs, and we got out, and I got out with him, and I started. If this world were mine, I would lay at your feet, a heater to keep you warm, because you've been so good to me. If this world were mine, I'd give every homeless girl a flower, the birds and the bees. Take them to the bridge, bro. It is all inside of me. It's all we could be if this world were mine. Woo! Woo! Wee! Let's waste no time, folks. Yeah! Let's get to it. Story number 5. Credit card debt and top stories. Oh, speaking of homeless, Fox Business has an article keeping the credit card delinquency surge in the headlines as Americans battle with high inflation and high interest rates. The report goes on to explain how a growing number of Americans are falling behind on their monthly credit card payments as they continue to battle high inflation and interest rates. Some reports show 30, 60 to 90 days of past due bills, which rose during the third quarter of 2023. The key talking point in this piece is that it surpassed pre-pandemic levels for the first time, folks. This story is still developing, so it's number 5 made it this week. Story number 6. What caused a veteran to commit suicide at a VA hospital? Uh-oh. The VA is at the drawing board again after the Chicago Sun-Times reported that a family is demanding answers after a veteran has died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside of a Chicago VA hospital. The 75-year-old Vietnam veteran reportedly struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder and mental illness. This is yet another story showing the growing cost to serve and protect the freedoms that we all enjoy and have. Rest in peace, brother. Big head. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week, folks. As a child, my mother told me, she said, Brian, go out into the world, preach the gospel of mediation, because somebody has got to keep people informed. And that's what I did. I came out the womb. Mediation! That's how I became the mediator. Story number 7, migration meltdown. Speaking of saving the world. Now, with the overflow of migrants at the southern border, State Line has a headline reading that that's a report, newspaper, news article. It says State Line has a headline reading that some cities see migrants as a lifeline and policy could follow. That's what the headline reads. Now, the article lists states like Chicago, Denver, and New York City who are all asking for federal help to handle the bus riders sent from Texas and Arizona. Now, the article goes further, explaining what appears to be a serious meltdown when it comes to border issues. The time to process and handle migration issues is what appears to be the main concern. Border issues continue to remain in top headlines. PBS NewsHour has a headline that says a record 3 million cases now clog the U.S. immigration courts. And they're actually thinking about putting some of these people to work and handling the problem that they're having with the worker shortage. That's why story number 7 also made the top this week. Big headline. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that made it this week. I get a little sentimental sometimes when I'm in here reading stories. I think about my life, the things that I've done wrong, and I feel bad because I could have done right. But I'm doing right now. I'm giving you the top stories to stay informed. Forgive me, Lord. Forgive me. I'm working my way back into the gospels, the blessings, by spreading the news to keep people informed. The top 8, baby. Story number 8. Aid, war, and the U.S. budget. The American taxpayer sees a still ballooning problem that is yet to be solved, and that is the question of, can the United States budget be balanced while handling the world's problems? Concerned taxpayers are asking, can they afford to aid foreign wars along with other tragedies eating away at humanitarian issues while also paying for the country's problems? Folks, this story is still developing as another government shutdown looms in the headlines, and they are trying to make deals when it comes to tax credits for children and all the other stuff, foreign aid, all that stuff. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I am just the mediator, the man in the middle, preaching to the choir. We got to be blessed. We got to be blessed. We got to be holy, holy with the gospel of mediation. And I say, amen, amen, amen. Well, folks, I'm out of here. If you want to show us some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Folks, I am out of here. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories just to keep you informed. You can also stop by the store at 5648 Market Street in Youngstown or Boardman, Ohio, and see my smiling face. Folks, I am out of here. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the media this week with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.